Okay. Okay, great. So, okay, so so as I said, my name is Matan Rosenstrauch, and I'm the fellowship coordinator. For those who don't know, the fellowship started 4 years ago with the idea working with students had two main reasons. One is we wanted to work with people who already have learned the issue. We didn't want to teach Palestine, Israel, from the beginning. So fellows who come, they often have done modules on Israel, Palestine. They may be done a year in Palestine or somewhere in the Middle East, usually learning Arabic, sometimes Hebrew. And so they come with this experience already, and they want to act and advocate for justice and equal rights. The second reason is also to maybe influence the discussion on campuses, which is something that due to COVID we haven't done so much, but we're hoping to go back to that. So as you may have seen, we have a training program. So fellows who join the program, the program is along the academic year, and we have about 10 workshops or sessions that are either knowledge-based, such as we have a session on international law and the end of the British mandate in Palestine in international law, a session about how does the British government makes decisions on Middle East with Sir Vincent Finn, and a few skills-based that we think that advocates or peace advocates, which we struggle also with the word peace these days. Therefore, we have taken it out. So you can see that in our new communications, it's not anymore the Balfour Project Peace Advocacy Fellowship, but the Balfour Project Fellowship. Two problematic names. The name Balfour, it's still in discussion. It's not for us to decide. For us as the fellowship team, it was easier to decide that. So we took that off. So going back to the point of skill-based, we do non-academic writing. We do a public speaking, how to speak in front of public and also in front of camera. And the fellows also every year have their 90 seconds video about a certain issue, and we have a joint campaign or a letter initiative that we work on together as a whole group. Okay, so this is very basically the training. Most of the sessions take place every fortnight in the first semester. So in the second, during the winter semester, there's more time to work on projects. Okay, there are also we don't want to be only London based, so it's open for any last year undergraduate students, postgraduate student, and recent graduates. So people who just finished and think what to do in their lives, it's open for them as well. And anyone living in the UK, in UK universities, Northern Ireland, Scotland, we had as well, of course. I think Wales, not yet, but I may be mistaken. What did I want to say? Sorry. So basically we are working with students from all around the UK, and the second part that is very important is that they work. Oh, sorry, now I remember what I wanted to say. There are also, most of the sessions are taking place online, but it's very, very, very important to have the people meeting, exchanging ideas, understand each one where they're coming from, and also creating a sense of community. For that, we have a few socials for the London base, but we have two main events, balloons, that everyone is obliged to participate. On the first semester is a retreat in Gloucestershire, so a full weekend that we come together for many discussions, but mostly working on planning and working on projects. And in the around end of February, March, we have an in-person workshops day in London. Of course, we pay for those who travel from outside. And this is when they learn public speaking as well. And also we do video shooting of their speeches, those who are willing to, of course. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say about the training. I'm happy, you know, you could see what was the training program of last year. We don't have really any changes for this year, but I would say that, you know, please do comment on the training, have new ideas come in. For example, we used to also do interfaith, a session about interfaith and how the conflict influences interfaith relations in the UK. We decided it wasn't that important or beneficial, so we stopped that. And for example, now we started in the past 2 years a session about the psychology of the conflict with Dr. Imad Karam from Tel Aviv University, and we found very good reviews from feedback from our students, because it's the importance to also understand like what kind of psychologies people living in the region are going through. So this is something that we continue doing. So please do ask and make later in the discussion comments about training session that you think might be beneficial for the fellows. Okay, so the second part is a project, and it's a very important part because you know, some of the projects of the charity started from fellows project, from a fellows project. So for example, if we take, I think it was 3 years ago, which started as Life in Late Ottoman and Mandatory Palestine, a social history workshop for secondary school for A-levels. This started with Evelyn Priestley, who now actually is the education officer. So, you know, we have a reach out to schools, and they also developed the following year, you know, a session focusing on the mandate as well. So this is kind of how our education program of the charity as a whole started. Okay, many projects are writing reports and often also presenting them in an event. So there's also a component of engagement, which is so important. We tell all the fellows, we don't want to have, you know, a report written and sitting on a website with a very limited amount of people accessing it. So any way to engage and you know, have it for more people to engage on this issue, then by all means we promote that. We had in the past few years the IHRA report project, which focused on experiences of scholars and students in UK universities following the IHRA definition adoption by some institutions. We had Israel and international law influencing the UK-Israel Free Trade Agreement, which is a briefing that was written by 3 international law students, which was a very successful one. We also had Israel-Palestine in schools in the UK in the first year, which was kind of creating a background before we actually went into schools. And this year we also had a briefing about the Israeli arms suspension, which is a great example of how this you know, it came during the year. So, you know, one associate fellow came and said, I think it's important that we do it, and we accepted it, even though like the projects had already started. And it's an example of how younger people bring ideas to a charity, and the charity adopted it and made also the trustees and the board take a stance on this issue, you know, that the UK should not be complicit with supplying arms to Israel and be complicit with what it does in Gaza. Okay, so this is a very good example. We also, some of the projects are types of campaigns. We are an educational charity, so we don't call them campaigns, but we call them letter initiatives, okay? But it's pretty much that. So we had, I think, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we had the threat of expulsions in Masafra Yatta, which reached over 10,000 people writing letters to their MPs, and that is also a project that continued. Okay, so there was actually before that there was a report about Bedouins in Area C. Then we had this. I'm showing you. I'm telling you this also to show how there is continuity of the project, and we don't want something to do, out in the blue. So this is also thanks to guidance from our side. The following year, after the Save Masafra Yatta campaign, there was an attempt to twin Masafra Yatta with a Jewish community, a progressive community in London. We had a discussion with the Jewish community, but in the end, it failed because of, I guess, fear or resistance actually from the Palestinian side. And this year, this project had a continuation of inviting Oda, who is a journalist from El-Khir, and Nidal, who is one of the mayors of Masafra Yatta, and they came for a tour. It was the first time actually that the Balfour Project invited Palestinian speakers in the UK. So that was also a huge success. Okay, so this was just very generally to let you know about the projects. I will tell you that we used to pay the fellows, and we ended up understanding that we're paying to some fellows who didn't work at all or didn't work as much. And we came to the conclusion 2 years ago that there is interest in this project, in this scheme, without the need to get paid, and that we may as well have the budget for projects. And so the change that we had last year, in this current year that we just ended, was the distinction between associate fellows who don't have time and do not get paid, which is what Lily was, and intern fellows who were only committing to 12 to 15 hours monthly. So very little amount of time, and they did get paid. So we had a few problems because, we had, in the end, we ended up, it wasn't like a proper internship. And so people who came were not necessarily with the experience that we needed for, the TikTok channel that we started this year, a podcast, and even in the fields of education and advocacy. And so what we are considering now is to simply distinguish between the fellows who will work on lower scale projects. Okay, some projects were a bit over the top and there was a lot of enthusiasm, but they were not implemented in the end. And the academic year ends and people go, and it's a bit of a shame, but it happened. And so we want to make sure that the projects are either events, panels on campus. It can also be a report, as long as there is a dimension of engagement. So if they write a report, they launch it and they invite an MP, they invite speakers, scholars on campus, etc. So this is the change. There will be probably also a budget to support fellows who need financial support to be able to actually commit to this. And there will be also like a funding for the events if they need to pay for renting a room or promotion on social media or whatever. But that's what's going to happen this year. We're going to have lower scale projects, mostly events on campus. And we are hoping to also recruit a few paid interns who would work maybe 10 to 15 hours weekly, but this is still a discussion with the board. And so this will be a part. But if and when we have those paid internships open, then we will also share it with you. And if you can share it with students with relevant experience, by all means, please do. So yeah, I spoke a lot. This was about the project. I hope it's understood. Happy to hear comments and anything you have to advise from what you know and what you want to add. The last thing I wanted to speak about, and then we'll open for discussions, is what our alumni do today. So we had, I think, 17 fellows, associate and intern fellows this year. In total, we have 59 fellows who are, in the alumni network. We're still trying to figure out what to do with the alumni because they want to be involved, but this is also a work in progress. So just to say that some of the fellows have become, consultants for the charity. Before Lily, it was Martha, who then joined the executive committee. Now she left and she is a trustee, a very young trustee of the Balfour Project. We have Evelyn, I told you about her, who started the history workshops for A-levels, and now she is the education officer. And we also have people who went to be civil servants and do research on those issues. One that went to work with Yachad, the Jewish organization that promotes an end to the occupation. And also we have Lara, who is actually on the executive committee, who is a senior researcher for the S&P on their foreign affairs. I hope I said it correctly. Okay, so just to say that there's many fellows who continue being involved. We also, invite alumni fellows to help in the annual conference that we have every year. We are joining the Business conference as well in the past 2 years. So we try to involve also alumni fellows. And I don't know, and because I spoke about you, Lily, maybe you want to share a few things from your experience being an associate fellow this year, the projects you worked on now that starting to work for the charity. Anything you want to say before we open?
Sure. I think you covered pretty much everything, actually, but I would just say that my experience as part of the fellowship project was really rewarding. Alongside my master's, I think the distinction between associate and intern fellow, like Matan has already said, wasn't especially clear. So I worked part-time and did this as well as studying, but it would have been better if I could have just done this as the work rather than working in a nasty pub. But this change I think we're going to implement should hopefully respond to that. But yeah, I think I did Arabic at Edinburgh, which was amazing, but I think you are exposed to sort of one main perspective, I think it's fair to say. And so the experience in this charity was amazing, just being able to meet and hear from so many other diverse perspectives. And yeah, would just say it was a really great experience overall, and I'm really happy to be working for the charity now. I don't think there's anything else to add.
Okay, thank you very much. And feel free when you ask questions, also feel free to ask Imad or Lily, and we'll answer as best as we can. Okay, so I will stop this so we can get to, I will stop the recording so we can get to start the discussion.